Hey guys, and welcome to this episode or this lesson on your 1202 course. We're going to be having a look at everything related to Exam Objective 1.4. We're going to be talking about Task Manager, the MMC snap-in, and some additional tools that you can use when we're trying to use Microsoft Windows operating system features and tools. I'm going to completely prepare you for this exam objective, and as always, I'm going to give you some practice exam questions that you can use after each dot point to test your knowledge and make sure you're actually intaking that knowledge. So stick with me and we will be just fine. If you are new here, my name is Matt, and my job on this earth, my purpose on this planet is to help people pass their CompTIA A+ examinations. This person says I help them pass their test. This person says they passed their test with me and my resources, and now they're moving on to the Network Plus. This person says they passed their Core 1, and now they're moving on to Core 2, which is what we're studying now. This person says they've also passed their A+ Core 1, moving on to their Core 2. You get the picture, guys. I'm helping people pass their A+ exam Core 1 and Core 2. If you stick with me, I'll do the same thing. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the first stop point, Windows operating system and features and tools. We're looking specifically at Task Manager. That's where we're starting. Task Manager. So what the heck is Task Manager? It is your gateway to system monitoring. So if there's something on your system that you want to look at, maybe you want to see what program is taking up the most CPU resources, or what program that's running is taking up the most RAM, Task Manager is where you would want to be, among a variety of other things. We're going to get into it now. So it is Windows built-in utility for monitoring and managing system processes. It provides real-time data on resource usage and serves as your first line of defense against performance issues. So it's going to be one of the first places you're going to go to if you're having performance issues on your computer. It's running slowly. We're going to head to Task Manager and use some tools there. That's essentially it at a base level, what we need to know. There's 5 tabs you need to know about in Task Manager, and I'm going to be real with you right now, guys. Your best bet here is to watch this video, yes, but after this, you're going to want to play around with Task Manager. Actually open it up, use each of the tabs, and see what they are used for. That is going to be what you're going to need to do to be successful here. The first one is the Processes tab. So this lists all running applications, background processes, and Windows processes. It shows real-time resource usage, including CPU, memory, disk, and network consumption. If you want to identify resource-hungry programs or terminate unresponsive ones safely, then this is where you're gonna want to go. Now, let's go ahead and actually take a look at this. Let's go Task Manager, right? So let's open this up, see what this looks like. So on the left-hand side here, you've got your tabs. This first one up here, you can see it says Processes if you like zoom in and squint. And this is going to show everything that I have running right now. It shows my applications. I've got a few different applications running here, and it tells me the percentage of the CPU total in use, and as well how much of the CPU each individual application is using. Same for memory, disk space, and the amount of network as well. You then have your background processes, not active applications, just things that are running in the background. Gives the same information. And if you go all the way down, you also have your Windows processes too. So it gives you CPU, memory, disk, and network usage for each individual program, process, or Windows specific process running in the background there. When would you use this? You would use this if your system is running really slowly maybe, and you're like, hey, do I have a program open that's using a lot of memory? Maybe let's go ahead and see, okay, Microsoft Edge, for some reason, I've got 25 tabs open. Why do I have that? Because I've got 3 desktops and oh my goodness. Look, I am a school teacher, so I've always got like a billion tabs open. So that's going to be part of the reason. And I can actually identify that right now. Okay. So that's processes, right? Long story short, that's what you need to know. Next one is, I just covered that really. Performance tab. So this gives real-time graphical representations of your system resource usage. Is essential for monitoring hardware performance and identifying bottlenecks. A bottleneck is like, this is where that performance is really slowing down. It's like, it's fine, and then it gets really skinny, like a bottleneck. All right. So your performance monitoring categories, you have multiple different categories. You've got CPU usage, memory, network, and disk activity as well. And it gives a visual representation of this on your system as a whole. So before we get to startup, let's go ahead and have a look. So we've got Task Manager. We come in here and we're going to go to performance. If I click on that, you can see what I mean now here, right? It gives a visual representation It also gives data of CPU, memory, disk, Ethernet, Wi-Fi, GPU, and your graphical processing units. Gives you a bunch of other statistics down here, your speed, the processors running, the threads, the handles, everything you need to know down here, and you can switch between what data you want visually being displayed here. So long story short, it gives a visual representation of your device's performance as a whole. Okay, that's pretty much it, really. Now, Startup tab. It's kind of intuitive. It's kind of in the name. It is going to be what you use to manage the programs configured to launch automatically when your operating system starts up. It's in the name, Startup tab, right? So if we go to Startup, let's go back to Task Manager. Let's go over to Startup. That's App History, Startup Apps. Here we go. Now, I need to fix this because I got a lot of apps going at startup. For some reason, I've got Copilot launching at startup. I really don't need that, right? It'll tell me, so I can actually come in here. Maybe I'll click on Copilot and I'll say, you know what? I'm going to disable this at startup. And that should help to speed up my boot process because it's not going to be trying to start that up now every single time I turn my computer on, right? So you can have a look and see what's enabled. Maybe if you have really slow boot times, it's because you've got a lot of things enabled at startup. That's really essentially what you need to know. Okay, and then we've got services. Okay, so services tab displays all background services installed on your system, whether they're running or they're stopped. It's essential for managing system functionality and troubleshooting service-related issues. So your services, what you can do essentially is you can start a service. If a service is stopped, you can launch it, you can stop a service, and you can restart a service as well. So let's go ahead and take a look. Back over to Task Manager. I'm going to go to Services. Where is it? It is all the way down the bottom. Here we go. So look at all these services. Oh my gosh, right? All these services running on my device. Over here, it gives me the name. It gives me a description of what it is, gives me a status, and gives me the group that it belongs to. And I can see if it is stopped or if it is running. If it is running, I can right click, I can stop, I can restart. Okay. Similarly, if it's stopped, I can start. I can't restart because it hasn't started yet. All right, so that's pretty much it. If you have a service that is having an issue, you may need to come here to restart it, or this is where you can come to stop it or to start it in a very easy manner. All right. You also have your users tab, which is where you can manage the users on your device essentially. So it shows all user accounts currently logged into the computer, whether locally or remotely. It displays resource consumption for each user's processes, and particularly useful for administrators if you're trying to manage shared systems or terminal server environments. So let's head over to the users tab, easily identifiable by the little person icon over here. There's only one here, okay? There's only one here. I'm gonna blur out my email because I don't want you guys to send me any emails, okay? You can send any queries to journeytocyber@gmail.com. Please not to this one. Again, it shows your resource consumption and all of the usual metrics over here for that particular user. If I were managing a device with multiple different users, I could see that for all users as well. It would be very helpful there. Alrighty, let's do some practice questions just on Task Manager before we move on to the next dot point. This one reads, a user notices their computer's boot time is slow. They suspect a program is launching automatically and want to stop it from doing so. Which Task Manager tab should they use to manage these programs? Is it A, Services, B, Startup, C, Performance, or D, Processes? Your answer is coming in 3, in 2, in 1. Here we go. Pause the video if you need more time. This is it. It is B, Startup. Hopefully we got that one. Even if you didn't go through this content for this particular dot point, question, sorry, you could see how you could almost intuitively get this, right? If something is if you're trying to speed up your computer's boot time and you think a program is launching, startup is where you're going to want to go. Services, you can start, stop, or restart any background services running. Performance, we talked about what that is. Visual representation of performance. And processes, you can see all the individual processes, applications running, how many resources they're using, etc. Next question for this topic reads, a user needs to troubleshoot why their computer is running slowly. They want to see which specific application or background process is consuming the most CPU resources. Which tab in Task Manager will provide this detailed real-time information? Is it A, Startup? Is it B, Users. Is it C, performance, or is it D, processes? Your answer is coming in 3, in 2, in 1. It is, pause the video if you need more time. It's going to be processes, guys. The processes tab will provide a detailed information of the key metrics for every specific application and process that is running. All right, so that's gonna be what you want to use if you think, hey, my device is running slowly, and I think there might be a particular application or process that is running that's using a lot of resources. You can identify that and stop it in the processes tab. Now, let's go ahead and head into the Microsoft Management Console, the MMC, which is like more of an administrative toolkit. Before we get into it, for Task Manager, guys, play around with it. Literally go onto your device, open up Task Manager, fiddle around with it. That's have a go at completing some of the tasks that we talked about in this video. And if you get comfortable with that, you should be okay. Now let's get into the MMC. The first thing you need to know is, what is it? So the MMC provides a consistent interface for administrative tools in Windows. You've got a wide variety of tools. The MMC is like, you can take all of these tools and drag them in to the one administrative window and manage them all and use them all from there. So it's very convenient, essentially. So it is a host for various snap-ins. You're dragging in these administrative tools, snapping them in. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. Individual tools that can be combined and customized. So look, long story short, that's what it is as a broad scale thing. Your event viewer is one component of the MMC. But you know what? Let's go ahead and open it up. Yes. Okay. Let's open this. Where are you? Here we go. So this is what the MMC looks like, right? And from here, there's not actually anything here, but essentially what you would be able to do is you would be able to get the different tools I'm about to talk to you about, drag them into this MMC, and then use them all from here. The first tool you do need to know about is your event viewer. So event viewer is a centralized log management tool. What is log management? It's kind of like, it's keeping track of everything that's occurring within within your device, but also within particular applications as well. So it details system events, it has security audits and application occurrences. So if you have an application that crashes, you might want to use event viewer, okay, in order to diagnose this. You could go there. So let's go and take a look. So here it has the level, which is like the severity of the event, date and time, the source, the event ID, and we can see this one here is an information event. So nothing actually serious has happened. It's just some information being provided to us. And this is an error. So this is something that has gone wrong. So I can click on that. It will open it up down here and give me some additional information on what has happened. Okay. So at large scale, that's what we need to know. Let's keep this thing moving. Okay. Let's keep this moving. You just need to understand also for that the concept of different level of severities of events. So information, it's just some information on something that's occurred. A warning is like there might be an issue in the future. Error is there has been a problem that's resulted in functionality or data loss, and critical severe system failure, that it's going to be serious. All right. So the next one is disk management. I'm not going to like show you each of these on screen. One, because I want you to work on actually playing around with these yourself, because that's the best way to do it. And two, I want to keep this an efficient video. Okay, so we've gotten the picture. I've showed you the MMC. I've showed you the first snap in that you can use. From here on out, we're just going to discuss what they do. Okay, so disk management is a graphical interface for managing all disk-based storage devices. Create, delete, and format partitions with ease. And you can assign your drive letters, extend or shrink volumes, and convert between basic and dynamic disk types. So anything to do with managing your disk, you'd use disk management. I guess that intuitively makes sense, right? So you can do partition management, create or resize partitions, drive letter assignments, disk conversions between basic and dynamic disk configurations. You don't really need to know in detail what that means, and any kind of formatting there as well for those different file types that we talked about in an earlier learning objective, exam objective 2. The next thing is task scheduler, a pretty intuitive thing. You use it to schedule your tasks. If you want to schedule a task at a particular time, you would use task scheduler. Okay. You set task scheduler to do things either at a particular time, or when a particular event has occurred, or when a particular condition has been met. Okay, you can use it so you got some variation there. Device manager is what you're going to use to manage all of your hardware devices, your printers, everything you have, all of the drivers for a printer, your keyboard, your mouse, your headphones, everything that's connected that is a piece of hardware that might have a driver. You're going to be managing that from device manager. So you get a view of all your installed hardware components. You can check the device status. You can update your drivers, and you can troubleshoot hardware conflicts. This one, let's have a look at actually. So you'd come into Device Manager, and I can see all of my hardware under the category of cameras. I can click, there you go, integrated webcam. Let's say I wanted to go to Bluetooth. I could go update driver, disabled device, uninstall device, scan for hardware changes, or look at the specific properties of that as well. Tells me this device is working properly, gives me some information on it. So you can really manage all your hardware there. All right. Yeah, look, you get the picture, right? If you want to manage or troubleshoot your hardware and you want to see if your drivers are up to date, disable, enable any hardware, you would be doing it there. All right. Excuse me, sorry guys. Working properly means it's working. That's the one we just saw. You can get a warning or an error as well. But just know, Device Manager lets you manage and check on your hardware, right? You also have Certificate Manager, which is your digital security management. So it manages your digital certificates for secure communication, authentication, and digital sign-up, import, export, and view personal secure certificates and trusted authorities. So when you're using SSL or TLS certificates, code signing, or maintaining secure network communications, you want to be using Certificate Manager. This is somewhere basically you can go to have a look at all of this. So if I open it up, it looks something like this, right? If I go into these files or folders, it'll give me my certificates broken down by category for every individual thing. I'm not going to click on it. I don't want to show you the certificates. I don't want to go into all of that. Just know you can come here to have a look at your certificates and manage those certificates in Certificate Manager. Functionally, for your exam, you just need to know, like, the question might ask you, which tool should you use to do X, Y, and Z? If it's talking about managing certificates or anything related to SSL or TLS, then you would be using Certificate Manager. Functionally, that's what you need to know. Don't worry about any more than that, really. Local users and groups. We can get the idea of what this is going to be. You're going to have administrative control over local user accounts and groups on standalone Windows system. Things you can do here is create new users, manage current groups, and set passwords as well. So if you're managing users or groups of users on the device, you would be using local users and groups to do that. That is one option available to you. Performance Monitor, which is otherwise known as PerfMon, it's advanced system monitoring. It's quite similar to the Performance tab in the Task Manager that we were looking at before. But if we go Performance Monitor, we can have a look. It's going to give us some information on the performance of our device. So you can get a lot of those similar statistics here telling us how is our system going. All right. And it'll give us that visual representation as well if we click on Performance Monitor over here. Okay, we get it. Group Policy Editor. If you want to configure and apply group policies to apply them to a group of users, then you would be using gpedit.msc or Group Policy Editor. This allows you to apply policy settings for a local computer and user accounts on that computer. You can control things like your security settings, software restrictions, and user interface behaviors on a single machine. So again, if you're asked a question and it says, which MMC snap-in should you use to edit security policies to a group of users? Probably going to be Group Policy Editor in that case. That's kind of where you need to be at with that. So you can do everything you see on screen, right? But basically, if you're managing a rollout of settings to users or groups, this would be what you would use. Let's do some questions now, guys. Fundamentally, so long as you can roughly say what each of those are and what each of those do, it should be fine for your exam. You don't need to do a detailed deep dive. Just be able to say in 1 to 2 to 3 sentences, this is what this one does, and be comfortable fiddling around with it. All right, the first question here reads, a technician wants to view the chronological history of all system events, including application errors and security audits, to diagnose a recent system crash. Which MMC snap-in should the technician open? Is it A, Device Manager, B, Event Viewer, C, Task Scheduler, or D, Performance Monitor? Your answer is going to come after I have a sip of my coffee, so be ready to go. Okay, pause the video if you need more time. Hopefully it's still fresh in our brains. You would want to use Event Viewer. Answer is B. Event Viewer is the one that keeps detailed logs of things that happen on your system, but also in events. It gives you a warning, it gives you information, it gives you a critical or an error event based on what's actually happening there. Device Manager, you're managing your hardware devices. Task Scheduler, you can schedule a task to happen either at a certain time when a certain criteria has been met. And Performance Monitor, you're monitoring the performance of your system. Real-time system monitoring. All right, one more question. An IT administrator is preparing a new computer that will not be part of a domain. The administrator needs to create a new user account with limited privileges and remove an existing local user. Which MMC snap-in is the most appropriate tool for this task? A. Local users and groups. B. Disk management. C. Certificate manager. Or D. Group policy editor. I'll take another sip. You have a think. Your answer is, pause the video if you need more time. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, and boom. Answer is A, local users and groups. This question is describing someone managing users and groups. So you're going to be doing local users and groups. We should have hopefully got that right because we know B, disk management, is managing your disk, partitioning, changing the size or details of the partitions. Certificate manager is managing your certificates, right? Your digital certificates for security and authentication. And group policy editor is the one that is used to configure your policy settings on a single computer and roll out that change. But when it comes to deleting or creating actual users, that's going to be local users and groups. So you might have gone D. I can see how that would have happened. Just make sure you read the question carefully. You can say, oh, we're actually creating and deleting. We're not changing any kind of policy here. All right. And now we're going to get into some additional tools. So we need to know about system information. So this gives complete system overview. Let's actually just go ahead and have a look. All right. System information, right? It tells me all this information about my device. It'll give me my operating system, the version, other operating system descriptions, everything I need to know about my device. Basic information, system information is what gives that to me. Functionally, that's honestly what I need to know. I don't need to give you more than that. If you need to know a detail about your device, go to system information. It'll probably tell you. Now, resource monitor. Let's just go and have a look, guys. Let's just go and have a look. Resource monitor, right? We can come over here and I'll pop it over here on the left. So it's another real-time monitoring utility providing in-depth data on your CPU, disk, network, and memory resource utilization by specific processes and services. So this is like the third one really that we've looked at that gives this kind of information. There's a bunch of different options. This one particularly is telling us what percentage of CPU usage each of these are using. And then we can click on disk. It'll do the same for disk. And then we can go to network. It'll do the same. And we can go to memory. It'll do the same. All right. I can also use the tabs up here to navigate it for a little more additional information. Okay. I can look at my listening ports, my TCP connections, my network activity for network. So you can see how it's similar to the other ones, but it has some additional little levels of detail here that we don't get in the other ones as well. So just know resource monitor is something that we can do to look at our CPU, memory, disk, and network space. And we can also have a look at some additional little details here if we want to as well. So long as you understand pretty much the concept I just explained at a vague level, you'll be fine. Now, system configuration. You can, again, here control what occurs at startup. Okay, system configuration. We open that up. Here you can see we have general, boot, services, startup, and tools. So we can do a normal startup, a diagnostic startup, a selective startup. We can do a bunch of different things, okay? Everything to do with startup. So you have centralized control over Windows startup behavior and system configuration. It manages startup programs, boot options, and system services. If you want to troubleshoot your startup issues beyond the level of like what programs are starting up, then you'd want to go to the Startup Control Center, the system configuration there. All right. I gave you a brief run through these tabs. You can read this, but the best bet, guys, is to play around with it for yourself, to be honest. Now, we also have disk cleanup, which is, again, intuitive in the name, right? You're going to be cleaning up your disk with disk cleanup. So it's storage optimization utility designed to free up disk space by removing temporary files, cache data, and other non-essential items safely. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's have a look. All right, I'll do it. Let's do it. It loads up, and then we can come over here and you can have a look, and it'll see, here's what I want to do. I want to go into my temporary internet files, and I want to just clean up those system files. I'm not going to do that because I don't know what's in there, but if I tick all these boxes, it would just clear what is in there and help me free up some space, essentially. Okay, that's pretty much it. Disk defragment and optimize drives, or dfrgui.exe. So storage optimization tool that enhances your drive performance through different methods. You can defragment or trim. Basically, if you want to optimize your drive, you would use disk defragment and optimize drives. Okay, you would use dfrgui. Just understand, if you want to optimize your drive in some way, shape, or form, this would be what you'd be using. As long as you got that, you'll be fine. Play around with it. That's the best bet. Okay. Registry editor. So this is advanced system configuration. Be careful with this one. It's a powerful utility for directly viewing and modifying the Windows registry, which is a hierarchical database storing low-level system and application settings. If you do not manage this correctly, you can cause significant system instability. So make sure you back this up before making any changes. All right. But just know, registry editor is what you can use to manage, change, modify the Windows registry. Okay. And you got to be really careful with it. So let's go ahead. Oh, you know what? Now we'll look at these. Okay. So some best practices. Yes. Create a backup, create a restore point, because if you mess up, you're in trouble. Yeah, the biggest thing here is just make sure you have make a backup before you do it. Is this important? Not really. Just understand fundamentally what you would use that for. Be able to describe it in 1 to 2 sentences for your exam. I want to keep it nice and simple for you guys. That's it. All right. Your question is, a technician is troubleshooting a performance issue where the system frequently freezes. They need to find out exactly which application is using the most CPU and memory in real time. Which tool is best for this task? Is it A, system configuration, B, system information, C, disk cleanup, or D, resource monitor? Pause video if you need more time. Your answer is coming in 3, in 2, in 1. Here we go. Boom. It is going to be D, resource monitor. So resource monitor is the one that you want to use if you are looking for in-depth, real-time data on how your system's resources, such as your CPU and memory, are being used by specific processes. Your other ones, guys, system configuration. Remember, that was managing startup programs and boot options. System information gives you that basic information on your system, and disk cleanup is used to clean up your disk. Pretty intuitive, okay? So hopefully we got that one right. Let's go ahead and get to the next question, which is, after installing several new applications, a user notices that their computer takes a significantly longer time to boot up. Which utility should they use to manage and disable programs that launch automatically at startup to improve boot speed? Should they use disk cleanup for answer A, or B, disk defragment and optimize drives, or C, system configuration, or D, resource monitor? I'm going to take a little sip. You have a little think. Your answer's coming in 3, in 2, in 1. Here we go. It is going to be system configuration. That's C. Remember, that is the one. We just talked about it in the last question when I was explaining the answers. Use system configuration to configure those startup processes. It's one of the options you have to configure startup. It seems to be the most detailed one as well to configure those startup processes and your boot options as well. All right, you can manage a wide variety of things about how Windows starts up using system configuration, or msconfig.exe. Now, what I will say, guys, is for any questions related to these tools, particularly on your exam, I can't guarantee it will say disk cleanup. It might say this here. It might just give you the option clean mgr.exe. Be familiar with identifying what that means. Do not progress until you can identify these tools by what is in the brackets here. Okay, that's really important. With that being said, guys, if you have enjoyed this video, you found it useful, like I said at the start, help many people pass their A+ Core 1 and Core 2 exams. That's the only thing I'm put on this earth to do. This person says that they've paid for my courses and they've found it very useful. And now they're waiting for me to put out Network and Security Plus because they want to buy my next courses. So I've helped them out. I've also helped this person out. They passed their Core 1. This person actually sent me an email talking about how much they appreciate my learning resources. This person said my learning guide is goated. It helps them intake information in an organized way. And this person says that as soon as they downloaded my study guide, they could see that it would help them immensely with studying. This person says my notes helped them pass their test today. That's their A+. This person almost got full marks on their A+. And this person moved on to their core 2 after using my learning guide for their core 1. So guys, if you want to be like these people and you want to pass in the most efficient way without spending like heaps of money, you can check out my learning guide. It has notes and practice questions all broken down by exam objective. It has 3 full-length practice exams. It has a video showing you specifically how to study with multiple choice questions. It has a video showing you some really unique and effective study methods that you can use with AI, 2 specific AI tools that will supercharge your learning. I really walk you through them in detail, specific to your A+, and then I show you, again, how to actually use a methodological approach to conquer multiple choice questions. All right. So if you want to grab that, if that sounds good to you, journeytocyber.com/1202 or the link in the description or pinned comment below. Other than that, guys, I'll see you in the next one. And, I'm always going to make sure that I put out this free content consistently until the day I die. So if you don't want to get this, you don't have to. It's just an easy way to make sure you're getting everything you need to get, because I can't put all the questions in this video, right? We'd be here all day. I'd lose my voice. It would take me 7 years to get these videos out. So this is like a general overview, but the learning guide is much more detailed and has questions that tackle every exam objective from every angle, right? I've given you like 2 questions per dot point. The learning guide has like so many questions per dot point from every possible angle. You're not going to miss anything in there, all right? So make sure you grab it if you found this useful. Otherwise, these videos will be plenty if you put in the time, if you're diligent, if you put in the effort to pass as well, like many people have without buying my resources too. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling and I'm going to say I'll see you later, guys. Bye.